let's talk about what are the advantages of renting your property out long term versus short term ownership.
Yeah, so advantages, and I'll even bring up a disadvantage. So the advantages, naturally, you always know um, that you're going to have a tenant in place. That's the obvious advantage. The challenge that you have with that is that you want to make sure that you're going to get somebody that is a quality tenant. Like anything, we've all heard the nightmares. Where all of a sudden the tenant, they show that they have enough money for the deposits, they have enough money in the bank, but all of a sudden 3 months down the road they don't have any money at all, because they were only showing what they actually have, and that's all that they have available, and they're not working any longer or something like that. Unfortunately, that can happen. It can happen anywhere. It does happen here at the shore. New Jersey is a very tenant-friendly state, so that makes it challenging for for a property owner that owns for long-term rental. Naturally, if you get somebody that's reliable, they work locally and they work for a company, or let's say a restaurant or something like that that's open year round, then they're going to be working year round. They're not paid seasonally, so all of a sudden in the off season, where's their income coming from? They're paid year round, so their income's coming in year round. They can afford it year round. That can be a challenge down here on the long-term rentals. The seasonal rentals, the great part about that is that the lease is the lease, whatever the length of time that you have for that rental period. You don't get locked into a situation where someone can squat on a property because now all of a sudden they've got a long-term lease, they're no longer paying it, you can't get them out, and now you're into legal channels and legal problems. Short-term tenants, you got someone coming in right behind them. These people move in and they move out, and so there's a benefit in that. You're also just subject though to the tendency of those week to weeks. Do you have enough people coming in to carry your costs? Your rental rate will tend to be higher on a week to week basis. So that's the good news there. It's greater wear and tear on your property because you have new people coming in and out, in and out, in and out. And if they're not taking care of your unit, now there's wear and tear that you're going to have money each season going back into the property every year because you need to fix and replace anything that may have been broken. So there's advantages and disadvantages, I think, for both sides of it. I think if you're going to be a situation where you're a seasonal, if you're not local to the area, then having a seasonal tenant can be a challenge. So you may want to have a rental company or a property manager looking over the property for you. That way there, in case there's tenant issues, again, they can be resolved quickly. Then it can be easy peasy. If not, you're trying to handle it, and you're driving down every week, and you're dealing with all that, and you're dealing with the cleaning, you're going to burn out pretty quick. So, you got to look at all aspects of it, and you also, what's your risk factor in the tenants that you have long term? What's the risk factor? What is their background? What are they doing? Are you going to be getting paid 6 months from now, 8 months from now, 18 months from now, or now you're going to be stuck in a situation you can't get somebody out? That can be a problem here, in the long term tenants. So. But it's all your risk tolerance, I think, is what it boils down to.
So if someone was going to buy their first long-term rental on the shore, and these can be rules that don't apply to the shore either, what steps would you tell them to do to ensure that it's a good experience and that they find like good long-term renters? And
yeah, so if you're talking about long-term rentals, the first thing I would set up, you want to kind of take a little bit of inventory of what's going on in the neighborhood. If there's other rental properties there, that can be good because then the neighborhood is adept to having the tenants there. If it's all like primary homes and not a lot of renters there, now all of a sudden you don't want the neighborhood spying at your house, kind of saying, "Oh, those renters," and now all of a sudden you're the black sheep in the neighborhood and the family, right? So you want to make sure that that's a situation where just do a little little research on the given neighborhood. You want to make sure you're doing credit checks. You're doing all the background checks that you can do legally in the state of New Jersey. You just want to make sure that you're covering all of your bases. And then all of a sudden, obviously, too, you want to make sure you're getting your deposit monies up front. You're having some type of clauses within your contract. You want an attorney to read your leases over. Make sure that they're a real estate attorney that has experience in dealing with tenants and leases so that you know that your contract is buttoned up. So that if there is anything that you have recourse for yourself to protect yourself if something is to go sideways. So just want to make sure that, yeah, you're going to spend some money up front. But remember, too, that if you're buying your first long-term investment, the idea is that more than likely it won't be your last. So these people you're putting in place, you're researching these attorneys, you're researching these property managers, you're researching these neighborhoods, you're looking at getting more and more properties. These people will already be in place. They're going to become your team, and then they're also going to help guide you as well. You want to make sure that you're going to be checking the financials. Make sure, does it truly benefit you to own a particular property? Because you want to make sure that your rental income, it's not just covering the mortgage. Don't forget, you're going to have taxes, you're going to have wear and tear, you're going to have maintenances. If you have a property manager, you have to pay the property manager. So there's carrying costs that you have that you have to make sure that you're aware in that grouping of that income that you're trying to earn, to make sure that you're on the plus side at the end of the year. So those are just some of you want to make sure you're not just diving into something because, oh, the neighborhood or this or that, or I want to do this because I have friends that are doing it, or I know people doing. Don't just dive into it without having done the necessary homework. There's homes that are going to come available. Take your time. Make sure it makes sense. If you know other people that already do invest, bounce it off of them. Make sure the numbers line up and make sense, and then take the approach and then go after the property.
Okay. Any other tips or thoughts that you have on long-term renting on the shore? Is there like a particular town that you think has the best or a more competitive long-term renting market?
I'd say for a long-term rental market, was probably Wildwood probably has a real good competitive long-term market from the standpoint of the rents are a little bit probably on the lower side, so you're getting a lot more home owners, or I'm sorry, year-round people that live in the Wildwoods in general. So if you're looking for something that's going to be a long-term, maybe check out a multifamily, where now all of a sudden you can have a long-term tenant that's in that building all the time, and then you can actually use the other unit maybe as a seasonal Airbnb rental, where you can actually bump up the income. You can make more money off of that unit, but then you have somebody that's in the building all the time. They're watching out for the building. There's security, if you will. There's heat on. There's water. The water's on. Electric's on. There's life in the building. It's not just sitting dormant. So there's an opportunity there where now all of a sudden you can rent out in two different ways, which is expanding your portfolio at the same time. You're only in one building. So multifamily might be more the way to go too. So, and you can get a lot of those there's a lot of that available in Wildwoods.